Bukit Bintang itself is an enclave of Kuala Lumpur, harbours many beautiful layers of life and forms within a developing urban setting. A city of movement, the life in Bukit Bintang never ceased to stop beating, even until the dusk where the street lights and another new side of life starts beating again until the late night. However, in current pandemic times, it has also cast a large shadow while the public remain unaware of the many hidden perils of the site. In the 1850s to 1880s, as more mining areas formed around Pudu, new traders and miners' quarters known as Pudu Village was formed along Pudu Road, which radiated out from the early Kuala Lumpur town centre and connected to Pudu. However, in 1890s to 90s, Petaling Street became overcrowded, prompting residents to move south to Pudu, shops and houses built to accommodate increased population. Increased population at Pudu settlement opening up trading and business opportunities, and the town grew. While in 1950s, after World War II, forest and agriculture land were cleared for commercial development, more Chinese residents and traders moved in and low-rises, shophouses and housing built for increased needs. Over time, the enclave became economically self-sustaining. In 1980s to 2000, commercialization and gentrification took place. Hotels, offices and malls built amidst the old shophouses, making Bukit Bintang a premium shopping and entertainment district. The affluent gravitates towards the northern Bukit Bintang. Jalan Alo repurposed into street food destination. From 2010 to 2020, Greater KL is one of the national key economic areas. Urban connectivity of Southern Golden Triangle is enhanced further. Bukit Bintang MRT station built to strengthen the business activity. Migrant workers' population grows in parallel with the increased job opportunities, making it a city of migrant workers and locals. The pedestrian pathway can be seen using different transparency of the lines to indicate the densities of the pedestrian from morning, afternoon and nighttime. High density of pedestrian pathways are pathways that are usually found along the shop lots with a lot of attraction from the surrounding, while low density pedestrian pathway can be seen along the back alley of the shop lots. The density of the pedestrian highly depend on the activities on the surrounding as it acts as an attraction. The LRT and monorail has been a major convenience to the area as it was built in proximity with the site. While most of the local drive to the area by private transportation, there is a bus stop situated next to the site, just in front of the shop lots along Jalan Pudu. The vehicular path can be seen at its peak densities in the afternoon during lunch hour and before the night market started along Jalan Alo. Jalan Sultan Ismail and Jalan Bukit Bintang can be seen with high vehicular densities from the morning people off to works until late night people goes to shopping as well as having their dinner. The pedestrian density of Bukit Bintang consists of a huge contrast between daytime and nighttime. Social gatherings are observed more during nighttime, especially in Changkat Bukit Bintang and corners of Jalan Bukit Bintang. In the meantime, Jalan Alo acts as a hotspot for locals coming to experience the food at night. The streets also indicates more migrant pedestrian density during noon in preparation for the night activities. Furthermore, homeless beggars are found within Jalan Bukit Bintang and Changkat Bukit Bintang during both day and night, whereas illegal activities increase more within evening and nighttime. As landmarks are objects or a feature of a landmark or a town that is easily seen and recognized from a distance, different users tend to have a different perspective on what places they identify as landmarks. For locals and tourists, common landmark identifiers are Loyat Plaza, Times Square, and even the Chinese Hill Maternity Hospital and the KL Baptist Church. Let alone for the locals in the area, the Jade Garden apartment is known to be a residential area for some of the local within the site. Jalan Alo is also known as one of the main social landmarks for local, tourists and even migrant workers, as the street functions to serve most of the users working there are migrant workers. In addition, next to Jalan Alo resides the residential area for majority of the migrant workers. The major edges can be seen along Jalan Pudu all the way up to Jalan Imbi as its edges formed by the highway. On the other hand, commercial and residential area also forms a minor edge, while different types of activities and business happening at the area also form another minor edge as well, as it clearly shows that major edge from permanent edges, while on the other hand, minor edges depend on the ongoing activities and business in the area. The user groups around Site B are generally categorized into three categories. which are the local, migrants, and tourists. The district of the local is mainly residential and is surrounded by institutions such as schools and hospitals. Majority of migrant district overlaps with tourist district, as most of the migrant workers in the commercial sector in tourist districts such as restaurant, masjid, and hotels. The physical design of Bukit Bintang is mainly aimed at creating high-end shopping precinct for visitors and business operators. Fine-grained shop house and housing typology allows denser urban streets and encourage higher intensity of life between buildings. Is slowly replaced by coarse-grained modern building with larger footprint. Transformation due to gentrification. In order to make the land use more profitable, as the area heavily relies on the visitors for economic return, historical building failed to adapt into contemporary use, thus it's less efficient and utilization would not be optimal. High land price and spending forced out the long-time residents, resulting in the shifting of identity. Building typology, change of building use. The building typology start with low-rise shop houses and housing built by Chinese residents is then transformed to vertical mixed-use building and shop lots with much bigger footprint, which commercial activity at ground floor and upper floor is utilized as living space for migrant workers. Modern high-rise building in Bukit Bintang have more stores and activities happen at the ground floor compared to surrounding coarse grain. Traditional. Few traditional shop houses remain around historical street of Tengkat Tong Shin, Jalan Puju, and Jalan Shin Chiu Ki. Poorly preserved state resulting in diminished cultural significance. Modern. Transformation of Bukit Bintang as the shopping and entertainment district ensued increase in population, financial profitability. Commercial and mixed development buildings of various scale replaced traditional shop houses, redefining the place's character. Facade. Building typology at Jalan Bukit Bintang has changed dramatically throughout the century, displaying various collection of shop houses and high-rise buildings. Harmonious and continual visual quality along Tengkat Tong Chin is broken by modern structure, sudden change of skyline, and distinguishing from the humble traditional shop houses. Ground level of low-rises residential building transformed into place of business, domination of business signs competing for visual engagement pedestrians. As Bukit Bintang becomes more compact and denser, social activities are encouraged at the front street. Main streets are vibrant with culture reference and community identity. House street and alley are being used. Jalan Alo, Duality. Jalan Alo is a famous food street with consistent low-rise building, giving a comfortable sense of enclosure. The land use start off as residential and transform to mixed use with food and beverage business at ground floor that extends all the way to pedestrian path. Jalan Bukit Bintang, Vitality. Jalan Bukit Bintang is a popular shopping street with high pedestrian and vehicle density. Spillage of business activity onto 5-foot walkways enlivens the street. Injection of modern mid-rise and high-rise building varies the skyline and proportion from the street. Jalan Tengkat Tong Shin, Belongingness. With the preservation of traditional terrace houses with utilized for food and beverage business at ground floor, it expressed the original characteristic of Bukit Bintang. Back alley of Jalan Bukit Bintang, confined. The back alley with a high level of enclosure is transient space for pedestrian. Jalan Rumbia, vibrancy. Jalan Rumbia as a back alley is rejuvenated through activities and purposes. The mural art makes a major contribution to giving a place character and identity, bringing people into and through places. For social aspects, it covers the different user group categories, which are the permanent insiders, temporary outsiders, observers, the human interaction, and the movement pattern as well as issues on site. Behavior settings. In Bukit Bintang, the existing users are categorized as permanent insiders, temporary outsiders, and observers. Permanent insiders. Permanent insiders include local residents and local traditional business owners. The current existing traces in presence for local communities is notably reducing due to the gentrification of economic and modern building developments. Seen from local perspective is slowly losing their sense of belonging to the place, as nowadays the youngsters is moving out from the old street in Bukit Bintang, and the rapid frequency of building development leads to the fading traces of existing local pride. Temporary outsiders. The existing communities of temporary outsiders include migrants workers and migrants residents, homeless people, drug addicts, and prostitutes. This user group staying in old streets of Bukit Bintang for purposes or aims the changes of economic status leading towards the empowerment of economical stresses and social pressure from the survival around site. With the appearance of vibrant communities leads to the presence of the culture barrier, giving the downfall of impression onto the site. The migrants group are parasites within the old streets of Jalan Alo. Living in between the conflict of cultural belief of local communities inside creates the two parallel dimension of communities lacking the intersection between human cultural interaction. Observers. The observers include tourists, local visitors, and students. The presence of a young adults user group from local communities and migrant communities form their own educational institution from their own formalizing way of educational institution. The duality of existence communities is needed to provide support for extending their survival span, especially towards the existence of migrant children communities. Living conditions within Jalan Rembia is very poor. Social issues on site. A bustling street such as Jalan Alo and Jalan Bukit Bintang are known for its progress over the years. However, what most people are not aware of is the conflict parallel dimension of different user groups going on at the same time. Homeless people, who are largely comprised of the elderly and the mental ill, can be seen around the area. Their presence increases whenever there are visitors on site, as they aim to beg for money. In conclusion, a place with its own characteristic offers its own identity and belonging to the people. As such, the community's needs proves that the contact points of a place enables the intersection between different user groups together. Movement pattern and social needs. For the movement pattern, we analyze the pedestrian movement through tracking the users group by permanent insider, temporary insider, and observer. During the day, the densest area is Jalan Alo. Cognitive needs of learning, education, and expressing are shown by the trail of the permanent insider, as they can be seen at schools and banks. Affiliation needs for a sense of belonging to culture are also shown as the trail leads to local residential, old shops, and religious buildings. Survival needs of the temporary insider between the community, as a lot of migrant workers are seen walking through the back lane and through shop houses to get to their place of work. Note that during the night, the permanent insider and observer rarely walks through the back alley, while the most temporary insiders use the main and back lanes during the night. In the visual dimension and explaining the social issues within Bukit Bintang could be boiled down into three main categories: the locals' dissatisfaction, the migrants' cry, and in between these issues is the parallel duality that exists within Jalan Alo. It's been observed that locals in Bukit Bintang show a strong distaste towards the migrant, and some are even calling them cultural bandits, as they are slowly taking over the site's identity in Jalan Alo. Locals also feel uncomfortable towards each other and not enough coverage, and finally the lack of understanding the economic dependence of migrant workers on site. The migrants' cry. Surprisingly, the worries of the migrants and locals differ drastically in the present time. Due to job instability in COVID, migrants are more worried about their livelihood than locals' opinions towards them. Although most of the migrants' workers were documented, they still appeared to be very uncomfortable when they were being approached and often refused to interact. Due to cultural difference, some migrants' workers appear to be ill-mannered in Bukit Bintang, thus making people feel unwelcome. To further their worries, documented versus undocumented migrants receive pay and benefit differently, and with the pandemic pressure upon them, their future doesn't seem to be bright down the road. Lastly, to conclude the social issue, we determine that the parallel duality of Jalan Alo embodies the issues of the site, the rift and segregation between the migrants and local caused by lacking intertwine and interaction. The Jalan Alo many knew and remember is a straight road filled with many famous local street foods that stretch through the whole site. However, there is a hidden street behind the stalls to hide the presence of the migrant community from the public eyes. The lightly shaded facades are the migrants' home, where only accessible behind the stalls from the main road, where it's dirty and non-well kept. Furthermore, the back alley of Jalan Alo, Jalan Rembia, has a large peripheral gravity where used to make the real Jalan Alo facade distinguishable from the rare, to make visitors unable to find traces of migrant within the building as if they were a negative influence. Introduction to microsite. Zooming into the microsite, site section A cuts along Jalan Alo, showing a slight slope in context. Site section B reveals the difference in level of the adjacent roads. Legal restrictions. The plot area is approximately 4,968 square meters with a maximum built-out area of 2,000 square meters. The building setback requires is 6 meters with an additional 2 meters for landscaping. Softscapes. Softscapes of the site consist mainly of angsana, along with some fiddle fig trees as well as wild cinnamon, while palm trees located beyond. Wind pattern. The wind mainly comes from the northeast and east direction of the site, but are partially blocked by the trees. Shadow pattern. The morning sun creates west-oriented and longest shadow pattern, which result in longest term stays, highly activated area and highly shaded vegetation area. The early noon sun creates self-oriented and shorter shadow pattern, which results in the shortest term stay, low activated area and low shaded vegetation area. The late noon sun creates east orientation and short shadow pattern, which result in short term stay, partially activated area and moderately shaded vegetation area. The evening sun creates east-oriented and long shadow pattern, which results in long-term stay, highly activated area, and efficiently shaded vegetation area. Excessive shading is provided at the corner of the site in the morning, and the highly shaded area is at the west area of the site in the evening. The flow of pedestrian is very low in the solar radiated site during noon. Excessive shading is provided at the site corner in the morning, but the highly shaded area is at the west area of the site in the evening. The flow of the pedestrian is very low in the solar radiated site during noon. Vehicular accessibility. The site consists of entrance that creates convenient passageway surrounded with parking opportunities and drop-off points that enhance local tourism. Walkability and existing structures. Walkability of the site is enhanced by street vendors, shaded pedestrian walkway, pedestrian bridge, site canopies. However, it is declining due to inconvenience brought by MRT service. Views from site. The site was surrounded with different urban layers such as greeneries, bold buildings, and shaded pedestrian walkway at the north, while heritage core areas service an urbanized street at the south. Views to site. Viewing into Site 2 from junctions at Jalan Pavilion, Jalan Alo and Jalan Bukit Bintang. The site is surrounded with greeneries and cultural activities. However, the edge along the shaded pedestrian walkway and shop vendors partially obstruct the site. To conclude the microsite with SWOT, the strength of the site is connected to the endpoint of each street and tourism hotspot, which gains a lot of pedestrian attention while also maintaining a very strong surrounding context connection to the current local site identity. The site is also located within the Golden Triangle Economy Zone, thus making the area still growing and attracts more potential programs. The weakness, however, includes the lack of green spaces, noise and air pollution as the site adjacent to the main highway, with very limited shading on site with poor accessibility as it is surrounding in hard edges, making users hard to access into the site. As for opportunities, the local context relationship could be improved and many cross-cultural programs could be carried out to as well improve livelihood and finally potentially rejuvenating alleyways as a design drive for the community. The threat on site is the locals' authenticity being challenged with the arrival of immigrants. Furthermore, existing user group of drug addicts and prostitutes affecting local business operating due to the disturbance from appearance on front footage of street and MRT access tunnel creates design constraint. In the tropic climate of Hoi An, Vietnam, the Cham Can Community House are 3 interconnected pavilions equipped with movable partition, making spaces flexible and adaptable to cater various events. The partition provides the house with 2 layouts, whereas one is exhibition-based and the other is a multipurpose area. Convection ventilation is achieved from the open court small farm creates microclimate around the building. The house sources local materials to achieve energy efficiency in a low-cost building, such as reducing sunlight and providing shade through its sloping pitch coconut leaf roof supported by wood columns and bamboo frame. Where the roof collects rainwater for irrigation and its surrounding double-layer brick walls creates air cushions and insulation helps withstand windstorm. In summary, the house achieves optimal building performance through utilizing low-cost and energy efficiency strategies. Precedent Study 2. Next is the Zhangjiang Future Park of Shanghai, China, where it shares similar urban context of a given site like encompasses by intersecting main roads, river, and similar demographic of workers and locals. Its civil program provides a library, an art center, a performance center, and a sports center which are absent in the neighborhood for catering its users. The park programs offers inclusive environment for the majority and unbound to a specific practice, such as the jogging path and rooftop walkway creates connection between various programs. In short, the site can improve social issues by providing the adequate civil programs for migrants, locals, improving the quality of lifestyle. Impact analysis. The impact of the project is to allow migrants to live with pride and confidence with a sense of belonging while preserving the locals' identity and migrants' culture as a new addition to new layers. In order to further instigate harmony within the site, hybrid learning is needed to create collaboration, to create something new in combination of local and migrants, and creating a strong community as a result that builds upon layers of trust and confidence. For the impact of users, youngsters such as local artists can use the space for innovative movement and activities to promote cultural crossing, while the local dwellers are here to provide support and live in harmony with the migrants. As for migrants, it becomes the center of extraordinary meaning to the already vibrant community. Young children could learn new skills and also learn the acceptance of other races to instill good mindset. Finally, for the homeless, it's a shelter for pandemic to maintain hygiene. Taking the presence of social issues, aligning with design position, which brings new possibilities of programs to the site. Food culture should bring into the urban room programs as to welcoming publics and communities within the site. The analysis of social, which is need user group from site, is the need of cognitive and belonging. Due to the presence of conflict of vibrant communities, the existing organization of Kuchara Soup Kitchen Society, the Naga organization, supports psychological needs of shelter to homeless communities and refugees communities who exist on site for the needs of survival living. Perhaps there is a chance to provide a place to give them a sense of belonging to our country. Pathways from the highway and from Jalan Tongshin can create an interaction of encounter established within the site, surrounded with cultural hub, training hub, and a viewport that let the eye see as far as they can. This creates a harmony of encounters of two different demographics on site to learn, create, and exchange within the urban setting as a form of escape.